Dani Johnson.
98% of the population will end up dead or dead broke by the age of 65.
Dani Johnson.
Question I have for you, is that how you want to be? Is that the life that you want? Well, if you look at what everybody else is doing and you live the way they are, then that's what you're going to have. Why live under the burden of death? I say, look at what everybody else is doing and do the opposite.
Dani Johnson.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Today, the focus is starting your week off right. You know, it's the first day of the week, and it's really important to kind of get your head screwed on straight as we head in to another rip-roaring week here in 2014 of all things. Gosh, can you believe that we're all approaching here very quickly, halfway mark of the year? That completely blows my mind. I don't know about you, but I feel like time is going by so fast, hyper speed. So today we're going to talk about barriers that you and I encounter in our lives and how can we move past them. Because so oftentimes when we set out, whether it's to start, off on a brand new week, or we want to start a business, we want to change our finances, whether it's making more money or spending less money, going after a dream or a goal or wanting to improve our marriages or doing better, more deliberate things with our kids, or even losing weight, whatever it was that you said at the beginning of the year that you wanted to accomplish, anytime there's something really important to work towards, there's always going to be opposition and barriers that you're going to have to move through. And I want you to ask yourself a question. Are you somebody that when you hit a barrier, you just pause? Are you somebody that just holds back and says, well, it didn't work, or, well, they didn't return my phone call, or, I didn't hear, I sent the email, I did my part. I can't help it if they don't do their part. What happens when you hit a roadblock? What is your knee-jerk reaction? After working with hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world, I've noticed there's just a few reactions. Some people, that's what they do. They just kind of hit the pause button. And with that pause button, the things do not get done. Something recently in our office that we've been talking about, I came from basketball. I played basketball for 15 years. And so oftentimes I see life and I see business and I see family and I see finances through the scope of basketball. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it was like the only thing that I had in my life that was even positive. And it really prepared me. Basketball literally prepared me for the business life that I would go on to live now for 2.5 decades. Basketball also prepared me for marriage. It prepared me for raising my children. It prepared me for finances. I see everything in the scope of teamwork. And we're going to talk about that today. How are we going to break through the barriers that are in front of us? First of all, how do you even recognize that they're there? Because most people don't even recognize that they're hitting a barrier. And so often the second response that we hear is people just get mad. They get frustrated. They throw up their arms. They might throw their phone out the window. They might punch a wall. That anger and frustration or even fits of rage that can rise up because of a barrier that you don't even realize is there. And maybe you might have been the person that caused the barrier to happen. Meaning for every action, there's a reaction, right? Another response that some have, very few, maybe 2% of the population, which we're really going to dive in later on in the show, is that mindset that really causes people to succeed and push through, is first of all, they recognize that there's a barrier. They recognize that it needs to be overcome, and they don't depend on somebody else to overcome it for them. And so just as I was just mentioning that in our office recently, in fact, last Monday, we had a manager's meeting, and I just said, we've got to get to a place where we're following our own shots. So like in basketball, for example, the bottom line is even the professionals, even the guys that are making millions of dollars a year, number one, they throw up a shot to have it go into the bucket, and they know that a certain percentage of the time it's not going to go in. I think it's hilarious that people who are lesser than that level of skill set, that they actually think their shot will go in. Heck no, it ain't going in. So you got to follow your shot. While I was a basketball player, I was the best rebounder in the league for years. I carried that title, as well as the highest scorer. Now, it's pretty simple to see how I was the highest scorer because I followed my own shots and I got my own rebounds and I put that ball back where it was supposed to go. I didn't shoot it and then, let's wait and see what happens. No, shoot, run towards the bucket, grab that ball, stick that sucker back in. So this, again, it completely applies to every area of your life. Because let's say that you want to do something in business or in your career, and you're trying hard to get that promotion in your life, and trying to get promoted, meaning get your business promoted up to a level where it's making more money than it did last year, or you yourself in your career are trying to push yourself up to a higher level, earning more money in that career, making yourself more valuable. Bottom line is if you don't follow your own shot to make sure that it gets in the bucket, the goal is done, it ain't going to be done. Period. End of story. So these are the things that we're going to talk about today. First of all, how do you recognize the barriers? Second of all, what is your response to those barriers? Number 3, what kind of a response is actually going to get you the success that you want? Because I can tell right now that this week, and especially today's topic, they go hand in hand. You're going to encounter roadblocks, barriers, and opposition this week. Period. End of story. Whether you like it or not, those things are going to happen. So what you going to do about it? Go back to bed? Huh? Are you going to do what the depressed of the nation or the depressed of the world is doing? Take a few antidepressants, cover your head with the covers, and cry yourself back to sleep? Or, let's have some vodka right at the bedside because you can't handle the stress and the frustration that you are actually causing? You can't do that. That's not an option. There is a way to train your brain. There is a way to train your mindset so that you are not provoking yourself to anger and frustration. There is an option to no longer be even deceived by that opposition that comes to you. Because so often, if you're anything like I was, especially 23 and a half years ago, I hit opposition. I'm a homeless woman. Okay, I have $35,000 in debt, $2.03 to my name. Nobody in my family wants to help me. Okay, this is a major barrier. This was a huge problem in my life. And for 30 days, I cried the blues and I blamed everybody else and that someone was supposed to take care of me. Somebody's supposed to pay off that $35,000 worth of debt. Somebody's supposed to fill up my bank account back up again because someone took the money that was in the account and somebody charged up my credit cards and somebody is supposed to do something about an income for me. Well, for 30 days, that mindset kept me broke. It kept me stuck. It got me growing my waistline and my backside even bigger. It didn't fix anything until the day that I took personal responsibility and started to drive that ball down the court myself and get it in the bucket. What do I mean by that? I started a business from the trunk of my car in a payphone booth. That was the solution here. Rather than whining, rather than crying, rather than blaming, I had to take action and do something. Now, again, that right there could be a barrier for you. Where you're saying, oh, but Dani, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to fix those problems. Oh, gosh, neither did I. Did I know how at 21 being homeless? Did I know whether or not that business was going to make me $250,000 that first year? No way. In fact, I didn't know if it was going to make me $200. Let alone $1 million by the end of my second year. I had no idea. But friend, you have to push through the barriers that you are encountering. You got to open your eyes, first of all, and recognize what the barriers are instead of continuously saying to yourself, well, I did my part. I don't know what to do. I did my job. I don't know what to do. This is not going to help you become more valuable in the marketplace. It doesn't help your business to grow. It doesn't help your career to grow. It doesn't help you to become more dependable. It does not, by any stretch of the imagination, get you where you want to be in life, period. So I want you to think about this. What barriers are stopping you right now from becoming more successful at work as well as at home? Are you using your spouse as an excuse? Let me give you an example. Over the weekend, I was having a discussion with an old acquaintance of mine from 19 years ago. She's a woman who came through First Steps to Success 19 years ago, her and her husband. Well, since that time, they plugged in and they unplugged. They've been unplugged for about 18 or 19 years. They came a couple of times and then they unplugged. Well, they've had nothing but problems since that time. And a year ago, she contacts me and she says, Dani, I'm going to be coming to First Steps to Success. I'm so excited. You know, I couldn't believe it. One of my coworkers had heard about your radio show and had heard about First Steps to Success, that training seminar that I plugged in 19 years ago. And man, you know, it looks like I probably should be re-plugging in and following some directions. Okay, so she says, I'm coming to LA. Can't wait to see you. LA came and it went. She wasn't there. So this is a year ago. So then here it is this weekend. She contacts me again. Oh, gosh, you know, I really wish I could come to that San Antonio event, but I'm totally broke, and now I'm getting a divorce, and you know, and my husband spent all of my mom's inheritance. My estate is gone. He spent $250,000, and he didn't love me because I was fat, and everything's just a mess. Here she is, whining. And my answer, quit your whining. Put your big girl chonies on, and it's time to get out of this rut you've been in for 18 years. It is time to stop blaming. Oh, I'm not blaming my husband, Dani. I'm not blaming my ex-husband at all. I just finished listening to you blaming your ex-husband. So quit using him as an excuse. Quit using your weight as an excuse. Quit using what just happened in the failure of the marriage as an excuse. And it's time to shut up and go to work. It's time to rise up and fix the problems you've got and never, ever return to broke again. Shortly after that, this woman made a post on Facebook saying, meaning on her wall, well, I just got slapped around by Dani Johnson, and she's right. I got to stop blaming everything as I've been blaming for the last 18 years, and it's time I shut up, get busy, and go to work and solve my problems. Friend, listen to me. You have to come to that place in life where you are no longer at the mercy of other people. It's never the circumstances that determine success in life. It's how you deal with them. It's the decisions that you make in those circumstances. You can't change people, but you can change how you talk to them. You can change how you deal with them. You can change you. You can't change anyone else, but you can change you. And that, moving forward, in this show, starting your week off right with Dani Johnson, is what we're going to unpack. We're going to see the places that you and I need to change if we want our production to get better, our reputations to grow, our income to grow, our effectiveness to grow. Well, then, by golly, we have to change. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more of this show right after this. The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
Why don't you groom your kids for success?
What's the option?
Letting your daughter hang out with ne'er-do-wells and eventually bringing you a grandchild with a pierced navel?
Don't get a grandbaby with a pierced navel.
Listen to Dani Johnson.
It'll turn things around.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
I don't know how. Oh my gosh. That is a barrier, my friend, that we create all on our own that completely shuts our mind down. It shuts off creativity. It shuts off being able to solve problems. It literally shuts off blessing. When you say you don't know how to do something, you are completely selling yourself short. But Dani, I really don't know how. Really, I'm serious. I don't know how. I don't know how to make more money. I don't know how to push through these barriers. I don't know how to get my husband to get on board with me to pay off my debt. Gosh. I don't know how will keep you stuck. That's nothing but an egotistical approach to life. It's a total cop-out. Come on, you and I hate it when we call a store asking them for if they have a product or if they know the price of the product, and that pathetic worker says, I don't know. Please hold. I don't know. That does not help them become more valuable. It makes the business look bad. It frustrates the prospective caller, the prospective customer. So I don't know is a bad habit. It is. Well, Dani, what do I say instead of I don't know? Because I really, really don't know. Well, you might want to learn how. How about, you know what? That's a great question. Let me see if I can find a good answer for you. Quit going towards your knee-jerk reaction of I don't know and I don't know how. It's only going to keep you broke, keep you stuck. And this is the sad part. The people who use that as an excuse, I don't know what happened. Okay, that right there does not cause you to be trusted. It doesn't cause you to have a great reputation. Take those 3 words and 4th word out. I don't know and I don't know how. This is not good for your reputation. This will not get you promoted. Whenever we hear someone say that to us, it frustrates us, doesn't it? Listen, at exactly 34 minutes after the hour, I'm going to be taking your call, and I want you to have the opportunity. If you got some barriers that you're hitting your head up against, and you really are stuck, and you really don't know how to move past, whether it's something in the marriage, like getting your spouse on board with your financial goals, or, it might be that, well, Dani, I don't have any excuses. I ain't got none excuses at all. Gosh, can you believe that we have so much of our country that talks like that? So sad. But anyway, so if you are that person, I don't have any excuses at all. Okay, well then my question is, why are you still broke? Why are you still stuck? Why are you still in that rut, stuck in the mud? Come on now. Your wheels are spinning. The mud is coming up all over your face and in your hair. And you're saying you don't have any excuses. I don't know what's going on, but I don't have any excuses at all. But my spouse got a lot of excuses. Okay, if you're having a challenge in that department or you're having a challenge at work, right, that you have no excuses you feel, but everyone around you has excuses and you have a hard time getting them to push the ball down the court and have it get in the bucket already, hitting the goal, call me. At exactly 34 minutes after this hour, that's when I'm going to be taking your call. I will coach you specifically, whether it's with the barrier you're dealing with the kids, with the spouse, or at work. The phone number, by the way, to get you prepared, you might want to write this down because there will be a flood of callers calling in. It's going to be a race. 844-439-1391. Again, that's 844-439-1391. 844-439-1391. If I were you might want to call now. Yeah, you might want to call now because right after this break, it'll be 34 minutes after the hour, and I'm going to be taking that very first caller. You need help breaking a barrier? You need help identifying the barrier? You need help pushing through to get to the other side? Call me right now, 844-439-1391. I'm watching it. The phones are ringing already. It's a race. This is your chance to break through the barriers that have been stopping you. I'm going to give you words that you can say that are going to be able to help you push to get on the other side. There's not much frustration like the kind of frustration of hitting your head up against the wall 10,000 times, hoping that it's going to change. It ain't going to change. You've got to have a new strategy, and that's what we're going to talk about in the next segment of the Dani Johnson Show. This is Dani Johnson, 844-439-1391. We'll continue in just a few minutes, and I'm taking your call live. This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
So, politicians are all like, let me be clear, and I'll give you something you've never gotten anywhere else before.
Check.
How's that working for you?
You know what? She's tired of that mess. How about this?
You listen to her.
She brings you hope.
You make the change.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Isn't it so frustrating when you can't get people to do what you want them to do? I know you think that. It can be, but you can't change them. You can only change you. This is Dani Johnson. I grew up on welfare in a violently abusive, drug-infested home. Pregnant at 17 by my own doing, obviously. Homeless at 21. Oh, did I blame everybody else for my homelessness, but in all reality, it was my fault. And started a business from the trunk of my car in a payphone booth at 21, but by 23, I was a millionaire in business. So, I understand frustration. I've worked with hundreds of thousands of people. I've had a staff for 23 and a half years. I've had the responsibility of putting food on the table for others, hundreds of thousands of others in some cases. So, right now, I said that in this next segment that I'd be taking your call and helping to field what barriers and frustrations it is that you are dealing with and how to be able to move past those things. My phone number, we have 3 on hold right now. If we're able to get through all of those in this next 11-minute segment, we will. But let me give you the phone number, 844-439-1391. And by the way, the next segment, for the end of the first hour of the show, what we're going to do is if you need help and you need somebody more on an intimate place, meaning you believe in powerful prayer and you believe and you know where your help comes from. I know where my help comes from, and I believe in the power of prayer, and I believe in the power of agreement. Not this wimpy, wishy-washy stuff that we hear all the time. Lord, if it be your will, maybe someday, God, I'll be free. No. That is not what you're going to hear in the last segment of this show. But if you've got something that's really urgent, something very, maybe it's hurtful, maybe there's something that you need a breakthrough financially for, call me in the very last segment of the show. So that will be at, 50 minutes at the top of the hour, almost 10 minutes before the top of the hour. So it'll be 12:50 Eastern time. And again, it depends on where you're watching this from around the world. But 844-439-1391. Again, that's 844-439-1391. All right, our first caller is Shanna from Millersburg, Pennsylvania. Girl, you say you have no excuses, or you do got some excuses. What's going on with you? Oh, Shauna, I can't hear you for some reason. Can we turn her up?
Oh, can you hear me?
There, it's perfect. Okay, there we go.
Okay, good. How are you?
Good. What can I do for you?
I have some downline that I want really to get to first steps.
Okay, hold it right there. Hold it, Shauna. Have you ever been to First Steps to Success?
Yes.
Have you been to the?
That was my very first one.
Okay. Have you been to the Home Business Entrepreneurs Workshop?
I did not, because I was actually.
Don't give me an excuse.
It was bought.
Don't give me an excuse. Because the very thing you were about to let out of your mouth is the very thing that your organization tells you. Now, the reason why I knew that you had not been to the Home Business Entrepreneurs Workshop is because you used a word that is a dirty, nasty word for your industry.
Okay.
And that is downline.
And what is it?
Downline. Upline, crossline. That is all language that is disgusting and it is demeaning. No one wants to be under somebody else, number one. Number two, no one wants to be down line from anyone. I don't care who it is. That language is customized for that home business industry, and it is disgusting, and you need to change it. Number one.
Okay.
Number two, the same excuses, girlfriend, that you live under are the same excuses that you will attract to you in the people that are working with you. Your coworkers, your sales organization, your marketing team. That is what the professional name for what it is that you have. Not a down line, not an up line, not a cross line. So number one, I don't know what your excuse was for not being at the Home Business Entrepreneurs Workshop, but whatever that excuse was, I have a feeling you're getting the same excuse from those that are around you. So,
Gotcha.
how do you break that barrier? You've got to, Shauna, no longer be a person of excuses. No more. You have to look in the mirror. And when you hear an excuse, you got to look in the mirror and say, where am I giving this excuse? Who am I giving this excuse to? Because you cannot expect other people to do what you're not willing to do yourself. That's where you're in control of your life. So you have to step up your game. You have to step up your commitment level, because if you're going to build a business, whether it's from home or online or in a storefront, your commitment level has to be of the highest. It cannot be when you feel like it. It cannot be what's convenient, because success is never convenient. Ever, Shauna. It's never convenient. Life is one gigantic inconvenience. And so either we have the practice of living according to what's easy and convenient and what works out. And oftentimes when people are trying to get someone else to do something, this is what they'll say. Oh, you really should go to First Steps to Success whenever you can. You know, and when you can afford it, then you should go. That's giving people a way out. So we actually create the barrier for them versus I will not work with you unless you go. And if you don't go, you're just going to fail. So you might as well quit now and put yourself out of your misery, or you get registered today for the San Antonio First Steps to Success, the 12th, 13th, and 14th, including the Home Business Entrepreneurs Workshop.
Wow. That's really good.
That's my answer.
I
That's how I
was
built
saying
every
that-
company. Is there's no excuse, because I don't live under those excuses. I'm not going to let someone else fail with their excuses, because an excuse is a well-planned lie. It keeps everybody broke, and you've got to raise your standard of the kind of professionals that you're looking to work with and the kind of success that you want to have. But when you give people a way out, oh, you can't go this time? That's okay. Just wait till next time. Okay, when you get the money that, no, period, end of story. Are you in or are you out? Period. All right. Shauna, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate you. I'm excited for you, and I'll see you in San Antonio. You really need to be at Creating a Dynasty this weekend. I'm all packed and ready to go.
gonna be.
Awesome. Then you're gonna step up what that level is. All right, girl. See you then.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. I've got Pamela from Minnesota. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Pamela, hello.
For taking my call.
Yes, absolutely.
I came into the company at 11,000. I'm making $400 to $500 a week. I just recently testified at First Steps to Success about all the tons of breakthroughs on the war on debt, including 467 Sharpies. I came home and hit a brick wall or a black cloud.
So what did you do that
I'm
for?
Continuing. I'm sorry?
What did you do that for?
I don't know. I'm continuing to make my dials, but I don't care, and I need to care. And I'm sure the people that I do get a hold on the phone, I'm sure they know I don't care. How do I get through the black cloud?
Okay, so first of all, you have a business that requires you to sell, is what I'm hearing. And sales is something that has to be mastered. And so much of sales, 99% of sales, is nothing but a head game. That's all it is. That's all it is. So let me just share with you this funny story. I had a young man who was getting into theater. And he's about 10 years old, and he had a big part in a play. He did phenomenal. And several people came up to him afterwards and said, man, I mean, do you have any stage fright? And he goes, what would I want that for? As though it was something that you put on you. Literally, as though it was something that you put on you. The black cloud is something you put on you. Take it off. You just said it yourself. I really don't care when I'm out there trying to make sales. I just don't care. My heart isn't in it. Well, then maybe you should start caring. Maybe you should start crucifying the selfishness inside of you that says, I don't really care about the other person on the other phone. I really don't care about whether or not this thing works. I don't really care about my future. I really don't care about my children's future. I really don't care about anybody else's future. Now, is that the truth, Pamela? You know that's not the truth. You do care about your family. You do care about your finances. You do care about the other person on the end of the phone, because that person could be in the bad situation that you were in before you came and learned about war on debt and paid off all that debt. So do you care or do you not care? I know you care. You made it this far. Now it's time to put the focus where the focus belongs. Get it off of you and put it on caring for those that need you. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with the next segment, taking your call live, knocking over and pushing through the barriers that are hindering you. We'll continue after this. Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. The most common question I get usually are from people who are trying to juggle their life. They've got kids who are involved in all kinds of activities. They've got business or their job, finances, trying to get out of debt, plus all their church activities and all the volunteer activities. And they're pulling their hair out going, how do I juggle this all? Man, I once lived just like that until I learned Time Secrets. Time Secrets showed me how to be able to cut my hours from 100 hours a week that I was working down to 20 hours a week and tripled my income as a direct result with what I learned. Time Secrets also showed me how to get my priorities in order, which healed up my marriage. And I became a mother that I was proud of versus becoming the mother I didn't want to be. And so if you feel like your world is running around in all kinds of different circles, you can fix that. Call 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880 for Time Secrets. Check.
No matter where she goes on this planet, she finds people of all stripes. Emeralds, rubies, sapphires, pearls.
She's made it a point to teach success better than anyone else in America.
So welcome to the international headquarters of your new future.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Barriers. They stink. That's not what I really wanted to say, but you know what I'm talking about. We've been talking about that today. If you missed the first hour of this show, you got to get over to DaniJohnson.com. Again, that's DaniJohnson.com. This was powerful. We've got hour 2 coming up here shortly, where I will be taking more calls about barriers you're having and you needing help to push through them. The first 15 minutes of the second hour, we will go ahead and receive your phone calls. I will help to coach you push through those suckers because they will keep you broke for the rest of your life. This last few minutes, I want to take the opportunity for those who are in desperate need of, help in a spiritual way. This last 8-minute segment is a time where we set aside a moment to pray. You know, sometimes that's the only thing you can do. Sometimes you've been pushed in such a corner. Sometimes you have been in so much frustration, or you have felt like you've been thrown underneath the bus and you just don't know what to do. Well, sometimes prayer is the only thing you can do. I began to cry out to God when I was a homeless woman, and He really, really helped me. And that same God is alive today, and He cares about you. So I've got a couple people on hold for prayer requests, 844-439-1391. This is a power segment for prayer. As we wrap up the first hour of the show, we enter into the next hour. We'll continue with more of your calls for breaking through the barriers that you have. Okay, so I've got Alethea. There we go. From Kansas. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, Dani.
Hi. What can I do for you? Hi.
Thanks for taking my call. My prayer request, I believe, has to do with self-sabotage and always going through the same cycle. I'm ready to get out.
What do you mean the same cycle? What do you continue to battle with over and over again?
Well, I will start to see success, and then I'll do really well for a while, and then I'll just crash.
Tell me about the time right before you crash. What happens? What start entering your head when you start to have some success?
For example, this last time, I really started to doubt that I could help anyone be successful. I had a lot of people on my team that were failing and quitting, and then I started to doubt that I could even help them, and then I would spiral down, and just the thoughts that come to me are just, that I'm never gonna make it. I'm never gonna be able to be as successful as someone like you or anyone else.
Right. Okay, this is really important because cycles happen and we get blindsided because we don't recognize, where they're coming from. I have a question for you. When was the first time you ever dealt with those voices saying, you're never going to make it, you cannot help anybody, you are simply wasting your time? Is that just a new set of voices that are talking to you, or is that something that you've heard pretty much most of your life?
Pretty much most of my life.
Yep. So it has absolutely nothing to do with this year, this day, this time. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has everything to do with a seed that was planted inside of you when you were younger. Somebody spoke those words over you. See, life and death is in the power of the tongue. And you built up a complete belief system that doesn't line up with the truth of what God has made you and called you to do. The liar has spoken a lie. You've believed in the lie. Look at the power of belief, sweetheart. Look at the power of belief in your life. Look at how much power you have. Because you said it yourself. You start to hear that voice and then you believe the lie. You believe what the word is saying. And then what happens? You sabotage the momentum and the success that you are already currently having. That's the power of belief. So you already have the ability to believe. Now what you must do is gird yourself up with truth. You must choose to take that gift, that skill of belief, and to believe that, yes, I can help others. Yes, I am qualified to succeed. Not because of me, who I am, but because of the gifting that God has planted inside of me. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have to sell yourself, gorgeous, on believing. I had to sell myself on believing that I could. I had to sell myself on believing that if that woman that I had met 25 years ago made $250,000 her first year in business and she was nothing but a preschool teacher, I said, if she can do it, then I can do it. I chose to fill my mind with believing what I wanted to believe and stayed away from believing what I didn't want to believe. So you've got to be aware that when success begins to come, that's when you got to start piling on more belief for your next step. Because when that voice starts coming to you, it's actually a sign that you're ready for the next promotion that is coming towards you. So Father, in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, that is Jesus the Christ, Jesus the Messiah, God, I hold up my sister before you right now. And Lord, I know what you say about her, that she was fearfully and wonderfully made. She was perfectly put together. And Lord, you have delivered a career to her that you've chosen to bless, and you've chosen to lead her so that she can lead in a management role, a leadership role in helping others. Father, I thank you that you have spoken over her life, that you love her, that you adore her, that you have called her to do great and mighty things according to your word. Jesus said that we would do even greater things than the things that he did. Certainly the thing that she's after can be done in his name. So, Father, I rebuke in the name of Jesus the spirit of doubt and the spirit of unbelief, which is sin. That is actually sin, that we choose to allow fear in and we choose to believe what is negative about us instead of standing on the truth of what, God, you have said. You've made no mistakes. You are not confused, God, with who she is. So, Lord, I bless my sister right now in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. I bless her career. I bless her finances. I bless her leadership. And I break off this self-sabotaging spirit, and I break off this spirit of doubt and unbelief, and I plant inside of her faith, bondage breaking faith. And we're talking faith that builds upon it, that she stands firm in the sight of fear, doubt, and unbelief, and says, go back to hell where you belong. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much for that call. Thanks for allowing me to pray for you. Get ready for hour 2 of the Dani Johnson Show, where we are going to highlight some specific barriers that are keeping you broke, my friend. Once you see them, now you're going to push through and get to where you are supposed to be. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this. You want to succeed, right? But you do not want to fail God at the same time. There is a way to succeed from a biblical perspective, and it's far greater than anything you could ever imagine. Over 500 scriptures I studied to study money, everything that the Bible said about money. That's in the first couple chapters of Spirit-Driven Success. Not to mention leadership, working with people, growing a career, being used mightily in the marketplace, which is where Abraham, God used him in the marketplace. And Joseph, God used him in the marketplace. Moses, God used him in the marketplace. Daniel, Solomon, really all of the greats of faith, most of the greats of faith throughout the Bible, they all were in the marketplace. And God wants to show you how you can be used mightily by him in the marketplace. Right here, Spirit-Driven Success is where all of my notes are on how you can do that. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Spirit-Driven Success today.
Dani Johnson.
98% of the population will end up dead or dead broke by the age of 65.
Dani Johnson.
The question I have for you, is that how you want to be? Is that the life that you want? Well, if you look at what everybody else is doing and you live the way they are, then that's what you're going to have. Why live under the burden of death? I say, look at what everybody else is doing and do the opposite.
Dani Johnson.
Welcome to hour 2 of the Dani Johnson Show. You're starting your week off right by joining us on the first day of the week. And by the way, we're here every day, Monday through Friday, 12 to 2 Eastern, equipping you with tips and strategies about money, business, or relationships to help you succeed. Push past the nasty barriers that you seem to, whether you're creating them on your own or... well, in all reality, we create them on our own. That's the bottom line. That's what I've encountered in my life anyway, especially, the failures that I've had. I've had tons of failures, right? I made my first million by the time I was 23 in business, and that was after being homeless 2 years beforehand. But then I spent all that money. I was an idiot. I spent it all. And then I got embezzled. The company that I had built was stolen, and wow, awesome. Then I owed all these taxes. That, by the way, was my own fault. I spent money foolishly. I had not hired somebody that was trustworthy to do their job. They didn't do their job. They didn't write the check for the taxes. And so then, I get, clobbered with a $100,000 tax bill, when I was broke. Yeah, that was after I made my first million. I created my own problems. We're talking about today in this first segment of the second hour of the show, barriers, excuses, things that we create for ourselves, and we don't even realize we create them for ourselves, but things that we do that help us to not be effective. There are things in your life and in my life, we keep hitting our head up against the wall again and again and again, and while we are doing this, we are causing frustration in others. We're causing frustration in ourselves. We are not reaching our fullest potential. We're not peaking at our best, but instead, we're sabotaging ourselves with mindsets that keep us stuck. I've had Jeff on the phone for about 40 minutes waiting to get in on the call, get in on the show let's go ahead, Jeff. Let's talk about what is your excuse that you need help busting through today?
I've been dealing with something for 4 years now, and it's hindering relationships because it comes back every year. You know, I hit a slow spot in my business, and then I just I give up. I get frustrated. I'm like, well, they're not going to come in anyways if I do something. You know, and I can't help the fact that spring and summer comes, but literally the business just dies, and I try to get creative, and I try to do things, and then it just gets to the point where it's like, well, what's the point? They're not going to come in anyways.
Right.
So that's what I keep hitting, and dealing with that. You know, I'm pushing people away because it sounds like I'm complaining all the time, and you know, they don't want to hear it, and I don't blame them because I would not want to hear it either, and it just sucks. And I'm tired of dealing with it. I'm really tired of every year. This is the 5th season. It's our 4th year in business, but 5th season we started in this season. So, it's just barriers. I don't know what to do.
Okay. So let's talk about this, because there are businesses that are seasonal. There really is. And that's a reality, right? That's an absolute reality. Even farming is seasonal, right? In fact, right now, this season is a time of planting, and we don't really see much. It takes a while for the seed to be able to bust through the soil and then start to produce something. And then even some of those plants, you know, we might see some green pop up, but it might take months before we see any fruit actually showing up, for example, in a tomato plant here in Texas. It takes forever to get a red tomato. Even though I'm planting in April and May, it's by November I'm actually seeing some red tomatoes. Drives me crazy. But here's the reality. There's 2 things you got to look at. Number one, it sounds to me like you've gotten creative. But what other businesses that are competitors of yours, what are they doing during the spring to help bypass the slow season that seems to come for your type of business? Have you looked into that? That's one thing.
Yes.
Okay, good job. And so do they have success during April and May, or is it just you? Are you just the only person in your line of work that does not have success in April and May?
The difference between my competitors and myself is my particular area has a lot of free outdoor parks, and they don't.
Right.
So that's the only hindrance that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I'm doing the demos, I'm doing the cookouts, I'm doing everything that I need to do. But I think, you know, they've been around 20 years. I've only been around 4. So they got a little bit more of a head start on it than I do.
Yeah.
So I'm still learning the process.
Yep. Okay, so number one, don't allow yourself to get discouraged. You just have to realize this is springtime and this is normal. There's other times where your business is growing and doing much better than these 2 months. So then look at, what can I do during these 2 months to prepare for a better summertime season or a better fall and winter season? Here's another thing. You could get kind of wild and crazy during the summer months and maybe offer free 30-day pass for your business, right? You could say, I'm giving away, 50 free tickets into our business. Because if you normally don't have business during that time anyway, this could be a really good time to get more exposure into your business during this season. It's a lost leader.
Yeah.
It could be that April and May is a total lost leader. You could also be holding camps during this time to bring in kids in for that business model.
Yeah, we're getting ready to do that.
Okay, which is awesome. So again, maybe it is that this, and to be honest with you, maybe it is that this is the time you do outreaches. Maybe this is when you contact even churches and say, I'm offering my facilities for free at such and such date and time, and you can hold whatever function it is that you would like to hold here that would fit this type of a facility. That's something that you can do. Find ways to get exposure to you. So don't be looking at April and May as a time of being making money, but it's a time of sowing into the community, utilizing your business of that skateboard indoor park, which I think is brilliant, by the way, using this to build up. Because again, I think it's not an accident. It's the same time as springtime. It's the same time you're dealing with the same stuff that farmers are dealing with. right? Same thing.
Yep.
I planted the seed in the ground. Where's the fruit? It's not the season for the fruit. Do you understand? It's the season for the planting and the nourishing. So this is that time. This is that time of year. Back in one of my businesses years ago, December was often a slow month. So December would be the month. It's vacation time in December. Or this was time to like look at other ideas into the new year or look back and do some auditing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I didn't expect for the last 2 weeks of December to be a highly productive time. It was, no, this is vacation time. This is time to do some planning for the new year. This is time to reflect on what happened last year. So you can't expect the seasons to change. You're not going to change the seasons, but you can change what you're thinking about and how you're approaching it. That's what you can change. So this is the season of creativity. This is the season of maybe reaching out into the public and offering free passes. Because those kids, I promise you, they're going to want your air-conditioned place come June. You know what I mean? But if they don't know that you exist and they haven't connected with you yet, they don't know that. But that's the time. April and May might be the time to really reach out and do things very, very differently. So stop having expectation of high profits during that low season. That's ridiculous. This is your time to hunker down, get creative, and build new relationships with people. Okay, so that would be my recommendation, all right? I'm proud of you. I am absolutely proud of you. So get creative. Brainstorm with the people that you have around you. Brainstorm even with your current clients that you have that are utilizing your facility. Brainstorm with them. In fact, you could even offer a free month or a free week based on who comes up with the greatest idea. Let them tell you the way to get people to come. Your customers are not stupid. They're very, very smart. And they want to earn something free. So that's what I would do. Yep. Okay, thanks so much for the call, Jeff. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. And by the way, all of us business owners do it. You're still a rookie. You're 4 years into it. You're walking into your 5th year. You're still a rookie. It's okay. It's okay. You're learning, you're growing, you're building. Next year, the spring's going to be even better. I believe this spring is going to be even better. So just start getting more creative and be free and don't expect something that shouldn't be happening in the month of April and May. And you know, who knows? You might get blessed on the accident part because you're not stressed out and pushing things away. All right, I've got Aaron on. Aaron from Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Thank you, Dani. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. What can I help you with?
Well, here's my dilemma. I'm new to the area. I've left all my family and friends about 700 miles away. I moved with my husband in his relocation. He's doing wonderful in his job. He earned a promotion that we were absolutely thrilled to get after 19 years in the same industry.
Wow.
I have been working from home for the past 5 years, and I'm going out of my tree. So I thought that I would take care of myself and get to the weight that I wanted to get to. However, being by myself most of the time, I find it very difficult to stay motivated. And then when I really dig down deep, I find that I'm afraid of success. Is that something that's common, unusual? I always hear people have fear of failure. But what about fear of success?
Yeah, it's very common. It absolutely is. But actually what it really, really is a bigger ego problem is what it is. You've got your focus in the wrong place. The reality is, do you have kids?
I do. I have a 12-year-old, and I spent most of my time with her. That's probably part of my problem.
No, actually, you keep creating other problems for yourself.
Yeah, that's probably just habitual, so I need to break the habit.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm really looking to do is I'm really stuck. I'm at home working from home in a job that really isn't going very far. However, my boss is incredibly successful. My husband is successful, yet now it's my time to be successful, and the only thing that I really can focus on is making myself better right now and losing 25 to 30 pounds that I've wanted to lose my whole life.
Yeah, yeah. So this is an issue of self-discipline, honey, but what you're doing with your own will that you've been given since you were knitted together in your mother's womb, what you're doing with your will, your ability to make decisions, is you're yielding them to excuses. You're finding excuses instead of producing results. So if you really want to lose 25 or 30 pounds, and if you really want to stop being mediocre and average in your job, then girlfriend, it's going to take some self-discipline. It's going to take a commitment. It's going to take making a decision. It's going to take surrounding yourself with people who are moving themselves forward, other than just your husband and your boss. But it's going to take a serious commitment. And that is your job. No one can do that for you. That's a decision you must make. That's a decision you must follow up with. That's a decision you must take action on. No one can do that for you. So it's time to cut off the excuses, and it's time to step up that commitment level and follow through. This is Dani Johnson. Thanks so much, Aaron, for the call. God bless you. I'm going to see you skinnier in the next 45 to 60 days. We'll continue with more of the Dani Johnson Show right after this. I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success and has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
There's just so much that she's done to help people.
To help their children face the next generation with success.
To declare war on things that tear families apart.
And to look people straight in the eye and to tell them how much they mean to her.
There is no one else.
Like this lady right here. And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Have you ever wondered why you continuously stay stuck? There could be something inside of you that is saying, man, I want to grow. I want to climb to the top of my organization or the top of my corporation, or I want to build a bigger business than the one I have already, or I really wish my marriage was passionate and intimate again. Have you ever had those kind of desires pop up, but yet year after year you keep in the same place? Have you found yourself there? You better identify what is keeping you stuck, because next year you'll be stuck in the same place again if you don't identify it. Friend, one of the major things that I see in working with people from all over the world, whether it's in my business consulting appointments, the coaching appointments, or dealing with people at First Steps to Success, just like the one that's coming up in San Antonio, Texas, July 12th, 13th, and 14th. So excited. I'm going to see you at that event. 3 solid days of training and development for business, finance, and relationships. You're going to revolutionize your entire life starting in July. I can't wait to hear what your story will turn into after you go through all this training. But one of the things that I encounter more than anything is that I encounter people who have a desire to do great things, yet there's a certain phrase that comes out of their mouth consistently that keeps them in the same place. And that phrase is, I don't know how. Or that phrase is, well, it's not my job. Well, I'm not an expert in that, so I really shouldn't say anything. This will keep this very mindset that you are not qualified, that it's not your job, and you don't know how, those things hold you back. Even though you're thinking inside of your head that you want to grow and you've set a goal to grow, these very habitual statements, it's not my place, it's not my job, I don't know how, these 3 phrases keep you backwards instead of moving forward. There's something I talk about in the book, First Steps to Wealth. That's our latest best-selling book. First Steps to Wealth, I talk about the employeepreneur. Talk about building this bridge between these 2 very different people. 2% of the population ends up financially independent, while 98% of the population ends up dead or dead broke by the age of 65, dependent on their family, friends, and federal government for their main source of income. Largely, 98% of the population is employed. And largely, those who actually are self-employed, 90% of all businesses fail due to a lack of knowledge and skill by the owner. I don't know how. I don't know how to break through the slow season of the year. I don't know what to do with my staff. I don't know how to motivate them. I don't know how to be able to cause the marketplace to come through my store. This very mindset is in both the employee and the entrepreneur, but the successful entrepreneurs have a 2% mindset. And what I talk about in First Steps to Wealth is how to think like 2% and act and take action like 2%. You can't wait for somebody to give you the title. If you begin to act in that leadership role, and you begin to build relationships, and if you begin to see that things are not being done correctly, if you begin to see that maybe customers are disgruntled because of a consistent bad program or bad policy with the company you're working with, well, it is your job, if you were the owner, to fix it. It is your job to produce the best quality product for the client. But see, 98% of the population says, well, that's not my department. That's not my job. That's not my worry. Well, that mindset keeps you stuck where you're at. The only way to grow beyond where you're at is to think like the owner of a very successful company. You see something wrong? You fix it, or you find someone else to fix it. You report it to who needs to have it reported to, and you follow up with who you reported it to. And if it doesn't get done there, then you find someone else that can get it done. Think like the owner. Take ownership of the success of your business or your career. Treat it as though it is your own and that you really care about what gets produced. You really care about what your client sees, what the prospects see, and you do the job to make sure it gets done. That is going to bring you success. That's going to get you unshackled and unstuck. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this. And I'm so blessed that I found what is in Grooming the Next Generation for Success. This is a book that is being taught in universities around the world. It's been noted as the best book on parenting that has ever been written. Crazy, if you ask me. But the point is that this thing gets results. Get your copy today, 888-757-8880. Again, that's 888-757-8880. Or go to DaniJohnson.com. That's DANI Johnson.com. Get your copy today.
Why don't you groom your kids for success?
What's the option?
Letting your daughter hang out with ne'er-do-wells and eventually bringing you a grandchild with a pierced navel?
Don't get a grandbaby with a pierced navel.
Listen to Dani Johnson.
It'll turn things around.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We're here 12 to 2 Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, plus Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday nights via television and radio. And you can always get this show via the DaniJohnson.com app in iTunes. I think any smartphone user can get a hold of the DaniJohnson.com app, or you can stream live from your laptop at DaniJohnson.com. Just click the radio TV tab. You can get an archive of our shows from the past as well as live right when we are right now. There's people viewing this from their computers. So we're talking about excuses. You know, the definition of an excuse is a well-planned lie. That is truly the hardcore definition of an excuse. In the last segment, I was talking about one barrier that keeps people stuck, and that is this phrase, I don't know how, it's not my job, it's not my place. This very identity, when you identify yourself with I don't know, when you identify yourself with it's not my place, when you identify yourself with it's not my job, this keeps you stuck in a rut. And the best way to have a breakthrough and get yourself promoted is to, yes, annihilate that ridiculous excuse and begin to step out as though it is your place, as though it is your job, as though you do know how. I worked with a young lady years ago. She's still working with us. Her name is Isa. And this comment used to come out of her mouth constantly. I don't know how. It's not my job. That's out of my pay grade. Like, All right, well, you're going to stay in the place of it not being in your pay grade. You're going to stay not knowing how by just saying that. You cannot say that. Life and death is in the power of your tongue. It's not my job. It's not my department. There's nothing I can do. My hands are tied. This is all the work and the voice of slavery and bondage. And it is not a physical thing. It's nothing but a mental thing. So how about I'm going to learn how? I'm going to find the answer. I'm going to go to whose job it is. I'm going to follow up to make sure that that's actually being done. This is important, friend. It is. Listen, I'm taking your call in this segment of the show. You've got some barriers, some fears. You have some things that you need help breaking through. Call me, 844-439-1391. We have about 9 minutes left in this segment. So people are rushing to the phone right now. I have 3 people on hold right this minute. You can still get in. 844-439-1391. This is your chance to break free from these mindsets that are hindering you from success. Before I go to my caller, I want to talk to you real quick about one of the sponsors of this show, AMTC. Incredible organization. They are somebody who believes in you. And they are somebody that are helping people break that barrier of fear of performance. You see, if you know that inside of you that you want to act, sing, model, dance, you want to be in the fashion industry, the entertainment industry, the music industry, but you don't know how to go about getting into that industry. That's what AMTC does. They are your bridge. They bridge the gap between you singing in the shower or you trying to be fashionable to now getting paid for singing, getting paid for modeling, getting paid for acting. They teach you how to be able to do that, how to perform, how to be able to get those auditions that are very difficult, how to audition in front of those very high places or even locally in your own local area. So if you know that you want to perform, call AMTC today. 800-STAR-420. Again, that's 800-STAR-420. Or go to amtcaudition.com. Again, that's amtcaudition.com. Awesome organization. Get in touch with them. Even if you have a friend that you know who loves to entertain, loves to perform, call them and give them this web address. Give them this phone number. It's free. They're doing free auditions right now. No cost to you. And they even do free online auditions. So you have nothing to worry about. 800-STAR-420. Okay, so we're going over the phones, and I'm going to take Jeannie from Dumfries, Virginia. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What can I do for you?
I guess my question real quick is, how do I break through my barrier? And I didn't know it was a barrier until I went to the First Steps to Success like 2 weekends ago in Baltimore with my husband. And I've been using, I guess, my spouse as an excuse. So I guess my question is, how do I break through that?
Yeah. You know, I've done that before, Jenny. I have. And it's really wild because I'm a no excuse kind of a girl. But after 20 some odd years of marriage, I have found myself saying, well, Hans won't let me, or Hans won't support that, or Hans doesn't want to. I began to see and notice that what was coming out of my mouth was that I felt like I was being controlled by my husband. But the reality is that I was actually being controlled by my own excuses. And I was using him to blame for me not going and finding a way to do whatever, or even being able to communicate with him in such a way that maybe he would bless me in something that I wanted to do. And so the reality is that excuses are a habit. It's a habit of 98% of the population. And either you're going to die an excuseaholic, or you are going to be one that is in charge of your own will, making your own decisions, following through with your own actions. You are a free woman. You have the liberty to think, to act, to move. Quit waiting for him to join you in what you want to do. If there's something you desire, let's say using war on debt, that you want to pay off your debt and you want to do it quickly, but your husband's not on board with you. Okay, or you want to lose weight and you want both of you to lose weight together. Or you want to get the house organized, right? And you want both of you to do it together. Listen, that's not his desire. You're not his mother. If you have the desire to get the house organized, you have the desire to pay off the debt, you have the desire to lose the weight, then follow it through with some action and don't try to get him involved with you and your decision. You have the power within yourself to step up and control what food goes in your mouth and what food doesn't go in your mouth. You have control over your physical body that can get things organized in the house. You have control over your mind and your actions and your financial decisions to help you pay off debt. And I promise you, as you start to get results, he will start coming to the table. So step up, girlfriend. Your family needs you too. It's time.
Have you been in my head? Because is that the same thing you just said? Like losing weight, debt on war, and everything else? Like, that's what I wanted to conquer, do. But I've been using him as an excuse. So it's like, when you were saying that, it's like, it was kind of scary because I felt you were in my head.
I'm not in your head. It came to my spirit. It came to my spirit that those are the 3 top things that you want to do and that your husband is not, you're waiting for him to join you in it. No, that's not what marriage is about. It's not at all. God has put it in you. He's saying, honey, I want you to have a long, healthy life. I want you to feel better about yourself. Let's take better care of this temple I've given you called your body. I want you to feel better. I want you to feel healthier. Okay? He's now invited you saying, honey, I've equipped you with war on debt. I brought you to DaniJohnson.com because you've been praying and asking and hoping to be able to pay off debt. Here's your answer. Your answer is not your husband. Your answer is right here in the palm of your hands with war on debt. Now take action. Okay? So he's put it in you for this. Don't wait for anyone else to do it. It's your job, mama. It's your job, and you can do it. He's prepared you already in advance to do it. Thanks so much for the call, Jenny. Isn't that a trip?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, next I've got Claudia from Arkansas. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hey.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. What can I do for you?
Okay, I am so excited to get to talk to you. I've been trying to get in on some other shows, but I just have a barrier. I come from a background where I suffered abuse, and it's just like my whole life has turned into like just a survival thing. And I am a Christian, and I know biblical principles, and I know that life and death are in the power of the tongue.
Yep.
And I do make good confessions, but it just seems like every time I try, something knocks me down.
Yeah. Okay, listen up, Claudia. That music means we got to take a break. And what I want to do is I want to not only just give you some advice, but I want to pray with you. Just so happens the last segment of the show is a time where we pull down some powerful prayer to knock through those spiritual barriers that are coming against you. So just hold on the line. I'm going to release some powerful prayer as soon as we're done with this short break. This is Dani Johnson. If you have a prayer request, you can call in. We'll continue after this. The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
So, politicians are all like, let me be clear, and I'll give you something you've never gotten anywhere else before.
How's that working for you?
You know what? She's tired of that mess. How about this?
You listen to her.
She brings you hope.
You make the change.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Sometimes, things can be hard. Like, really hard, right? Like, desperately hard. I understand desperate times. Being homeless, that's desperate. Yeah, that's, like, really hard. I wanted to kill myself when I was homeless. That's why when I met back in December, Fida, who had 9 children, her husband left her just a month before. He left her in November. He was out actually looking for work, and he never came back. And she said she didn't think he was ever coming back. He couldn't find a way to provide for his wife and his 9 children. So she hadn't seen him for over a month, actually. They lived in a hut. Like I said, I understand desperation, but this, wow, I didn't have 9 children to provide for when I was a homeless woman. I didn't. I didn't have only dirty, filthy, disgusting water to serve my children either at that time. I mean, poor Fida, she literally sends out her 2 older boys with 2 buckets to a stream, if you will, a ditch, if you will, that's just filthy. You can see the dirt. I mean, the water comes up. It's not clear water. It's dirty. It's brown. And this is what they bring to mom, and she tries to figure out how to get the contaminants from the donkey urine that's in there, or the chemicals from somebody washing their clothes upstream, or even from the earthquake that had happened in 2010, just all the pollutants that got poured into their water supply, knowing that she's going to give her kids something that might cause them to die. It's a very tragic thing. But you know what? The prayers of the righteous avails much. And there's a pastor in the area of that village of 2,000 that's been praying since 2010, since the disastrous earthquake just took that village out, destroyed their homes, destroyed their crops, destroyed their water supplies. This pastor's been faithfully praying and working and asking God to deliver clean water, more sustainable homes, sustainable jobs to bring to the area. And God has answered this man's prayer. And guess what? You and I are the answer to his prayers. Yes, we are. We are. How? Because you and I, are going to help build 65 new homes for these homeless families. You and I are going to bring in 2 clean water supplies that will give them pure water for the rest of their lives. 2,000 people, this whole village, are going to have clean, pure water for the rest of their lives. You and I are going to build a sugar plant that's going to supply 200 jobs in this village where there's hopelessness. You and I are the answer to this man's prayer. So how can you join me on this adventure? Go to kingsransom.org. Again, that's kingsransom.org. Go now. Kadwa, Haiti is the village that you and I are going to rebuild. Tell your kids about this. There's a video right on that page. When you click on Kadwa, Haiti, it's right on the homepage. It'll take you to a page where there is a video. Sit down tonight with the family, have them watch that video. There's another video down below at the bottom of the page. Watch these videos and talk about this pastor. You're going to see a picture of the pastor in the video and just say, this man's been praying. There's no other hope. There's no other way. They have nothing. They can't fix the problem on their own. But through the power of prayer and the prayers of the righteous avails much. God has heard that man's cry and has sent us in to help solve these problems. kingsransom.org. It only costs $6,400 to build a brand new home for this homeless family. And guess what? Just over the weekend, I about fell over in my chair. An anonymous donor sponsored a whole home. $6,400. They wrote a check for $6,400 to help build one new home. So far, we've got 25 homes. We have enough money to build 25 homes. We've got 40 left to go. Give $10 or $5. Give maybe what you're going to spend at Starbucks later on today. Give that instead of going to Starbucks, because we can transform a village and we can be the answer to a prayer. Claudia, I said that I would pray with you about what you're going through. And by the way, Claudia, after hearing what I just told you about Kadwa, Haiti, and the life that Fida is giving to her 9 children, knowing that all she has is this terrible water and no food, that kind of puts into perspective your problems, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It kind of creates a reality check.
Mm-hmm.
That we live in so much wealth, and yet we complain about what we don't have. We live with so many resources, and because of our lack of understanding about the power of money and what we're supposed to do with it, That money gets sucked up into places that are totally useless. But there's Fida, who's just asking for food and water. She's not even asking for a home. This woman's home is not a shack. It's literally branches, banana leaves, all put together with mud to try to create a dwelling. Her children sleep on the dirt ground. There's no floor. It's just the ground, and that's where her babies sleep. It brings perspective into our lives. So, Father, right now, in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, I lift up my sister Claudia. And God, I pray that you give her a deep revelation of all the wealth in which you have given her entire life. A sustainable home, provision, blessing of people in her life. She's never had to question the quality of water she was putting in her mouth or that she was offering somebody else. She's had so much food in her house, just like we've had, like many, that we throw away food. Whereas Fida would die to have the scraps on last night's dinner table that got pushed into the trash can. Father, I pray that you give Claudia a great revelation. And Father, I thank you for the greatest breakthrough financially that you gave us is when we began to give to the poor. When we began to deny ourselves of all the options that are out there, all of the eating out, the more clothes, the more shoes, the more stuff, the more junk. God, as you brought purpose to money for Hans and I and our children, God, you have blessed our finances in ways that are miraculous. God, I pray that same kind of blessing upon my sister, Claudia, that she puts the focus on others who truly have nothing, and she works diligently with all of her might, and gives $1 of every 10 to taking care of the poor. And in her doing that, God, you return back to her, because you said, he who lends to the poor, that we have lended directly to you, and that you will reward us for what we have done. So, Father, I praise you for breakthrough. I praise you for breakthrough as she obeys and takes steps in the right direction. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, Claudia, so much for calling in. I appreciate you. Well, that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed today's show, and if you did, in fact, please go over to DaniJohnson.com and leave us a comment right on the post of where today's show was, and even join us on Facebook. If you have other things that are ailing you, barriers that you need, come over and talk to us on Facebook. That's Dani Johnson Live on Facebook. There's about 240,000 people who congregate, who gather. It's an amazing community of people right there on Facebook as well as on Twitter. We're much more active on Facebook than we are on Twitter. But I'd love for you to join us over there and meet these great people and seek out some advice that you may need. Hey, we're going to be here tomorrow, same time, 12 to 2 Eastern time. Let other friends know. If today's show was powerful, you can spread the recording until it gets locked up on the Insider on the DaniJohnson.com website. But it's free right now for the first 7 days. So you can spread this message. Come on. Do you know some people who need help breaking barriers? Do you know some people that need some help busting through and getting on the other side? I'm sure you do. This is Dani Johnson. Thank you so much for joining me today. Yeah, I remember being homeless and broke and broken in every way and being overloaded with financial pressure, the pressure that I was a failure, the social pressure, everything that I felt like was crashing down on top of me. And at the same time, I felt so alone until I learned the strategies of first steps to success. You have the chance, my friend, to annihilate all of your debt. Think about that. You have the chance to grow your income through your current career or even learning to start a brand new business that will be profitable. You also have the chance for learning how to motivate the people that are in your life that are driving you crazy and how to have significant breakthrough, not only spiritually, but physically, financially, and socially, and business-wise. And so I'm excited to see you at First Steps to Success. It's coming up January 17th through the 19th. Get yourself registered today, 888-757-8880. There's a seat with your name on it, friend. 888-757-8880.